and a very warm welcome to Fireside Fables. If you're seeking stories that weave tranquility into your night, guiding you gently towards a restful slumber, you found the right place. Here, we embark on journeys not just to distant lands and times, but into the heart of peace and calm itself. So, make yourself comfortable, let the day's worries melt away, and join me by the fireside. Together, we'll explore tales designed to soothe your mind, ease your soul, and escort you into the most peaceful sleep. Tonight, let the flickering flames and the soft cadence of our stories be your sanctuary. In a land far beyond the reaches of our bustling world, there lay a village nestled in a valley of perpetual autumn. This was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the gentle rustle of golden leaves and the soft glow of amber sunlight created an atmosphere of endless tranquility. The village, known as Whisperwood, was a haven of peace and serenity. Its cottages, with their thatched roofs and smoke curling lazily from stone chimneys, were scattered among the trees like acorns resting on the forest floor. The air was filled with the comforting scent of wood smoke and ripe apples, a fragrance that seemed to wrap around the inhabitants like a warm, familiar blanket. As the eternal autumn sun cast its soft light across the village, the inhabitants went about their daily lives with a quiet contentment. In the village square, a group of elders gathered around a crackling fire, their weathered hands cradling steaming mugs of spiced cider. Their gentle laughter floated on the breeze, a soothing melody that seemed to harmonize with the rustling leaves. Near the village outskirts, children played in piles of crisp, colorful leaves, their giggles muffled by the thick carpet of foliage. The sound of their joy was like a lullaby, soft and comforting, never rising to a level that would disturb the village's tranquil atmosphere. In the orchards that surrounded Whisperwood, the trees were always heavy with ripe fruit. Villagers moved slowly among the rows, their baskets filling with apples, pears, and plums. The work was unhurried, each movement deliberate and peaceful, as if they were engaged in a graceful dance with nature itself. As evening approached, the sky transformed into a canvas of soft pinks and purples, the setting sun painting the clouds in hues that seemed to glow from within. The villagers began to make their way home, their footsteps crunching softly on the leaf-strewn paths. Lanterns were lit one by one, their warm light spilling from windows and creating pools of golden illumination along the village lanes. The aroma of hearty stews and freshly baked bread wafted from open windows, inviting weary villagers to return home and find comfort in the simple pleasures of a shared meal. As night fell, a gentle mist rose from the nearby forest, wrapping the village in a soft, protective embrace. The stars emerged, twinkling softly in the velvety sky, their light seeming to whisper ancient secrets to those who cared to listen. In their homes, the villagers settled in for the evening. Fires crackled in hearths, casting dancing shadows on walls adorned with hand-woven tapestries. Grandparents rocked gently in chairs, sharing tales of old with wide-eyed children. The stories were always told in hushed, soothing tones, designed to calm young minds and prepare them for peaceful slumber. As the night deepened, a hush fell over Whisperwood. The only sounds were the soft hooting of an owl in in the distant woods and the whisper of the autumn breeze through the ever-present leaves, the village slept, safe and content in their eternal autumn, unaware of the gentle warrior who lived among them and the journey that awaited him. And so, as we leave the peaceful village of Whisperwood for now, let the image of this tranquil place rest in your mind. Let the soft rustle of leaves and the warm glow of lantern light soothe your thoughts as you drift towards sleep. Imagine yourself walking the quiet paths of this village, feeling the gentle autumn breeze on your skin and breathing in the comforting sense of wood smoke and ripe fruit. Allow the peace of Whisperwood to envelop you, guiding you towards a night of restful, untroubled sleep. As the eternal autumn sun rose once more over Whisperwood, its gentle rays fell upon a modest cottage at the edge of the village. Here lived Yakov, a man whose presence in the village was as constant and comforting as the autumn itself. Yakov was known as the village's protector, though in this peaceful realm, his role was more that of a gentle guardian than a fierce warrior. Yakov stirred from his slumber, rising slowly from his bed of soft furs and warm blankets. He moved with a quiet grace that belied his strong physique, each movement deliberate and unhurried. As he prepared for the day ahead, the soft light filtering through his window cast a warm glow on his kind face, highlighting the laugh lines that spoke of a life filled with joy and compassion. The warrior's cottage was a reflection of his gentle nature. Dried herbs hung from the rafters, filling the air with a soothing fragrance. Shelves lined the walls, holding not weapons, but books, carved wooden figures, and jars of healing salves. In one corner stood a loom, where Yakov would often sit in the evenings, his large hands moving with surprising delicacy as he wove blankets for the village's elderly and infirm. As Yakov stepped outside, the crisp autumn air embraced him like an old friend. He paused for a moment, closing his eyes and taking a deep breath, savoring the scents of fallen leaves and distant wood smoke. The village was just beginning to stir, and Yakov set out on his daily walk, his footsteps barely making a sound on the leaf-strewn path. As he made his way through Whisperwood, villagers greeted him with warm smiles and gentle waves. Children ran up to him, their eyes bright with admiration, and Yakov knelt down to speak with them, his voice low and soothing as he asked about their dreams and shared words of encouragement. Near the village square, Yakov paused to help an elderly woman carry her basket of apples. His strong arms lifted the heavy load with ease, but his touch was gentle, his pace slow to match the woman's shuffling steps. As they walked, he listened attentively to her tales of villages past, his eyes filled with respect for the wisdom she shared. As the day progressed, Yakov found himself drawn to the village elder's cottage. The elder, a man named Mikhail, had been behaving strangely of late, his usual calm demeanor replaced by a quiet restlessness. Yakov approached the cottage, the scent of chamomile tea wafting from the open window. Mikhail sat in his rocking chair, his aged hands wrapped around a steaming mug. He looked up as Yakov entered, a smile crinkling his weathered face. "Ah, Yakov," he said, his voice as soft as the rustling leaves outside. "I've been expecting you." Yakov settled into a chair across from the elder, accepting a mug of tea with a grateful nod. For a long moment, they sat in comfortable silence, sipping their tea and listening to the gentle creaking of Mikhail's chair. Finally, Mikhail spoke, his voice carrying the weight of ancient knowledge. Yakov, my boy, our village has been blessed with eternal autumn, a season of abundance and peace. But I fear this abundance has made us complacent. Yakov listened intently, his brow furrowing slightly with concern. Mikhail continued, his words measured and calm. There is a creature, Yakov, a magical bird of fire. It is said that this Firebird holds the key to true prosperity. As Mikhail spoke of the Firebird, his voice took on a dreamy quality, as if he were reciting an ancient lullaby. He told of its feathers that glowed like embers, of its song that could heal the soul, and of the wisdom it possessed. Our village needs this wisdom, Yakov, Mikhail said, his eyes meeting the warrior's steady gaze. We need someone to journey forth, to seek out the Firebird and bring back its teachings. And I believe, my dear boy, that you are the one meant to undertake this quest. Yakov sat in thoughtful silence, absorbing the elder's words. The idea of leaving the village, of venturing into the unknown, was foreign to him. Yet, as he considered Mikhail's request, he felt a sense of rightness settle over him, as gentle and natural as the falling leaves outside. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in soothing hues of pink and gold, Yakov rose to leave. He placed a comforting hand on Mikhail's shoulder, his touch conveying more than words ever could. The elder smiled up at him, understanding passing between them without the need for speech. Yakov made his way home, his mind filled with thoughts of the journey ahead. Yet, even as he contemplated the unknown, he felt a deep sense of peace. He knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them with the same gentle strength and kindness that had always guided him. As night fell once more over Whisperwood, Yakov prepared for sleep, his dreams filled with visions of a bird wreathed in gentle flames, its song a lullaby that seemed to call him towards a new destiny. The following day dawned with a gentle mist hovering over Whisperwood, the soft light of the eternal autumn sun filtering through the haze. Yakov rose early, his movements calm and purposeful, as he began to prepare for his impending journey. The air in his cottage was thick with the soothing scent of chamomile and lavender, herbs he had hung to dry in anticipation of his travels. As Yakov moved about his home, gathering supplies, he took care to select items that held meaning beyond their practical use. His pack, made of soft leather worn smooth by years of use, was filled with care. He placed inside a warm blanket, woven by his own hands, its threads carrying memories of peaceful evenings by the fire. A small pouch of healing herbs, each leaf and root carefully selected for its soothing properties, found its way into a side pocket. The warrior paused in his preparations, his gaze falling upon a shelf where a small, intricately carved wooden box rested. With reverent hands, he lifted the box and opened it, revealing a smooth river stone nestled within. This stone, a gift from his father many years ago, had always brought Yakov a sense of calm. He slipped it into his pocket, its weight a comforting presence against his hip. As the morning progressed, a gentle knock at his door announced the arrival of villagers. They came in small groups, their faces a mixture of concern and support. Each brought a small token for Yakov's journey, a loaf of freshly baked bread, still warm from the oven, a jar of honey, from the village's beehives, a small book of poetry to keep him company on lonely nights. Yakov accepted each gift with genuine gratitude, his voice soft and warm as he thanked his neighbors. He listened patiently as they shared their worries and offered advice, his calm presence reassuring them even as he prepared to leave. As midday approached, Yakov made his way to the village square, where the elders had gathered to offer their wisdom. The square was hushed, the usual sounds of village life muted, as if nature itself was paying respect to the moment. The elders formed a circle around Yakov, their weathered faces solemn yet serene. One by one, they stepped forward, each placing a hand on Yakov's shoulder and sharing a piece of advice. Their words were like a gentle stream, flowing over him with the accumulated wisdom of countless seasons. "Remember, Yakov," one elder murmured, her voice as soft as falling leaves. "The journey is as important as the destination. Let each step be a meditation, each breath a prayer." Another stepped forward, his gnarled hands clasping Yakov's. "The Firebird's wisdom is not found, my boy," but realized, "Look within as much as without." As the sun began its slow descent, casting long, comforting shadows across the square, the village gathered for a farewell ceremony. Soft music filled the air, the gentle notes of flutes and lyres weaving a tapestry of sound that seemed to embrace all who heard it. Villagers moved in a slow, graceful circle, each holding a glowing lantern. The light from these lanterns mingled with the fading sunlight, bathing the square in a warm, golden glow. As they moved, they sang an ancient song of protection and safe travels, their voices blending in harmonious, soothing tones. Yakov stood in the center of the circle, his eyes closed, absorbing the love and support of his community. The music and the soft light seemed to seep into his very being, fortifying him for the journey ahead. As the ceremony drew to a close, Mikhail approached Yakov. The elder's eyes were bright with unshed tears, but his voice was steady as he spoke. "Remember, Yakov, that you carry a piece of whisperwood with you. Let its peace be your strength, its warmth your comfort." With these final words of wisdom, Yakov shouldered his pack. He turned to face the path that led out of the village, a route rarely traveled, but now beckoning him forward. As he took his first steps, the villager's song swelled one last time, a gentle wave of sound that seemed to propel him onward. And so, as the eternal autumn sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in soothing shades of purple and gold, Yakov began his journey. He moved with quiet determination, each step measured and calm. Behind him, the lights of Whisperwood twinkled like earthbound stars, a reminder of home and the purpose of his quest. As darkness settled over the land, Yakov found a peaceful spot beneath an ancient oak tree. He laid out his blanket, the familiar texture bringing comfort in the unfamiliar surroundings. As he settled in for the night, The soft rustling of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl created a natural lullaby. Yakov closed his eyes, his hand resting on the river stone in his pocket. As sleep began to overtake him, he felt a profound sense of peace. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them with the gentle strength and kindness that were the true gifts of his village. And with these comforting thoughts, Yakov drifted into a deep, restful sleep, the first night of his journey passing in tranquil silence. As dawn broke, Yakov stirred from his peaceful slumber beneath the ancient oak. The air was crisp and fresh, carrying the subtle scent of damp earth and pine. He rose slowly, taking a moment to center himself and appreciate the quiet beauty of his surroundings. With deliberate movements, Yakov packed his belongings and set forth into the dense forest that lay before him. As he stepped deeper into the woods, the canopy above grew thicker, filtering the sunlight into a soft, dappled glow that danced across the forest floor. The forest was unlike any Yakov had ever encountered. The trees, tall and ancient, seemed to lean in close as he passed, their leaves rustling in a way that sounded almost like whispered words. At first, it was merely a sensation, a feeling that the forest was alive in a way that went beyond the usual stirrings of nature. As Yakov continued his journey, the whispers became more distinct. They were soft, soothing murmurs that seemed to carry ancient wisdom. The warrior paused, closing his eyes to listen more intently. The voices of the trees washed over him like a gentle stream, their words indistinct yet comforting. "Welcome, gentle soul," the forest seemed to say, the words more felt than heard. "Your journey is known to us. Let our wisdom guide your path." Yakov opened his eyes, a sense of wonder filling him. He placed a hand on the rough bark of a nearby oak, feeling a connection to the ancient being. "I am honored by your welcome." As he continued his trek, Yakov found that the whispering trees seemed to guide his path. When he approached a fork in the trail, the rustling leaves would grow louder on one side, gently urging him in the right direction. The forest floor was soft beneath his feet, cushioned by years of fallen leaves, making his journey easier and quieter. As the day wore on, Yakov became aware of the forest's other inhabitants. A family of deer crossed his path, their movements graceful and unhurried. They paused to regard him with liquid brown eyes, seeming to sense his peaceful nature. A wise old owl peered at him from a hollow tree, its slow blink almost like a nod of acknowledgement. In a sun-dappled clearing, Yakov encountered a small fox with fur, the color of autumn leaves. The creature sat on its haunches, watching him with bright, intelligent eyes. "Greetings, kind warrior," the fox said. "The forest has told us of your quest. Might I offer some guidance?" Yakov knelt down, bringing himself to the fox's level. "I would be grateful for any wisdom you can share," he replied, his voice gentle and respectful. The fox's whiskers twitched in what seemed to be a smile. "The firebird you seek is not just a creature, but a symbol of inner light. As you journey, look not only outward, but inward. The path to wisdom often leads through the landscapes of one's own heart." Yakov pondered these words, feeling their truth resonate within him. He thanked the fox, who gave a small nod before disappearing into the underbrush, its russet fur blending seamlessly with the foliage. As evening approached, the whispering of the trees grew softer, taking on a lulling quality. Yakov found himself guided to a small hollow at the base of a massive willow tree. The ground was carpeted with soft moss, and the willow's drooping branches created a natural curtain, offering both protection and privacy. Yakov set up his camp, his movements slow and mindful. He laid out his blanket on the mossy ground and settled in for the night. The forest's whispers had faded to a soft, constant susurration, like a gentler ocean heard from afar. As he lay there, Yakov reflected on the day's experiences. The wisdom of the forest and its inhabitants had already begun to shape his understanding of his quest. He realized that the journey to find the Firebird was as much an internal voyage as an external one. With these thoughts gently swirling in his mind, Yakov felt himself drifting towards sleep. The soft whispers of the forest became a soothing lullaby, the ancient trees standing watch over him. As consciousness began to fade, Yakov felt a deep sense of peace and connection to the world around him. And so, cradled in the heart of the whispering forest, Yakov fell into a deep, restful sleep. The forest continued its soft murmuring through the night, its ancient wisdom seeping into his dreams, preparing him for the journey still to come. The gentle warrior slept on, safe and serene, as the forest kept its quiet vigil until the dawn of a new day. As the first light of dawn filtered through the willow's drooping branches, Yakov stirred from his peaceful slumber. The whispering forest had grown quiet, its ancient voices reduced to a gentle susurration that seemed to bid him farewell. With reverence, Yakov packed his belongings and thanked the forest for its hospitality and wisdom. Guided by an unseen force, Yakov found himself at the forest's edge. Before him stretched a vast expanse of rolling meadows, shrouded in a gentle mist that softened the landscape into a dreamlike vista. The eternal autumn that blessed his home village seemed to touch this place as well, painting the tall grasses in hues of gold and amber. Yakov stepped into the meadow, feeling the soft give of the earth beneath his feet. The mist swirled around his ankles, cool and refreshing. As he ventured further, he noticed that the air was filled with a subtle, sweet fragrance, a blend of late, blooming flowers and sun-warmed grass. The mist, rather than obscuring his path, seemed to guide him. It parted gently before him, creating a softly illuminated path through the sea of golden grass. Yakov walked at an unhurried pace, his senses alive to the quiet beauty that surrounded him. As he journeyed, Yakov became aware of the meadow's hidden life. Butterflies with wings, like stained glass, fluttered from flower to flower, their movements lazy and content in the cool morning air. In the distance, a herd of wild horses grazed, their coats gleaming like polished copper in the diffused sunlight. The day wore on, and still Yakov walked, feeling no fatigue. The mist kept him cool, and the gentle terrain was kind to his feet. As the sun reached its zenith, hidden behind a veil of mist, Yakov noticed a change in the air. A new scent reached him, the unmistakable aroma of warm, mineral-rich water. Following his senses, Yakov found himself approaching a hidden dell. The mist here was thicker, rising in lazy spirals from the ground. As he drew closer, he saw the source, a natural hot spring, its waters steaming gently in the cool air. The spring was surrounded by smooth, flat rocks, as if nature itself had crafted a perfect resting place for weary travelers. Yakov felt drawn to the spring, sensing that this was a place of both physical and spiritual renewal. With slow, deliberate movements, Yakov removed his travel-worn clothes and slipped into the warm waters of the spring. The effect was immediate and profound. The mineral, rich water seemed to caress his skin, its touch as gentle as a mother's hand. As Yakov allowed himself to float, supported by the buoyant waters, he felt his mind begin to still. The quiet rippling of the spring and the soft sighing of the wind through the meadow grass created a soothing symphony that lulled him into a state of deep relaxation. In this tranquil state, Yakov found his thoughts turning inward. He reflected on his journey so far, on the whispered wisdom of the forest and the quiet beauty of the misty meadows. He thought of his village, of the people he had left behind, and of the quest that lay ahead. As he pondered, Yakov began to understand that the true journey was not just the physical distance he traveled, but the inner path he was treading. The Firebird he sought was as much a part of him as it was an external entity. Its wisdom, its light, its transformative power, all of these things existed within him, waiting to be awakened. This realization settled over Yakov like a warm blanket, bringing with it a profound sense of peace. He knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he had the strength to face them. The wisdom he sought was not just something to be found, but something to be uncovered within himself. As the day began to wane, Yakov reluctantly left the comforting embrace of the hot spring. He dried himself with the soft grasses that grew nearby, their touch like silk against his skin, feeling refreshed and renewed, both in body and spirit. Yakov prepared to continue his journey. But as he looked out across the misty meadows, he realized that the day's travels had taken more out of him than he had thought. The idea of spending the night in this peaceful place was deeply appealing. With a soft smile, Yakov decided to make camp near the hot spring. He laid out his blanket on one of the flat rocks, still warm from the day's heat. As he settled in for the night, the mist seemed to gather around him, creating a cocoon of soft, diffused light. The meadow grass whispered a lullaby, accompanied by the gentle burbling of the spring. Yakov closed his eyes, feeling more at peace than he had since leaving his village. The day's experiences had brought him not just physical rest, but a deeper spiritual renewal. As he drifted off to sleep, Yakov felt a quiet excitement for what the next day might bring and what new understandings he might uncover. And so, cradled in the misty embrace of the meadow, under a sky veiled in gentle haze, Yakov fell into a deep and restful sleep. The mist kept watch through the night, its cool touch a constant, comforting presence as the misty dawn broke over the meadows, Yakov awoke, feeling refreshed and renewed. The lingering warmth of the hot spring seemed to have seeped into his very bones, leaving him with a deep sense of peace and readiness for the journey ahead. He packed his few belongings with mindful care, taking a moment to thank the meadow and the spring for their healing embrace. As Yakov set out, the mist began to thin, revealing a landscape that was slowly changing. The soft, rolling hills of the meadow. In the distance, he could see the silhouettes of great mountains, their peaks shrouded in clouds that seemed to merge with the dissipating mist. The path led Yakov towards these mountains, and as he drew closer, he began to notice something unusual about the landscape. What he had initially taken for oddly shaped boulders scattered across the foothills began to move with slow, deliberate motions. With a mixture of awe and wonder, Yakov realized he was approaching a family of stone giants. These beings were colossal, their bodies seemingly carved from the very mountains themselves. Their movements were slow and graceful, each gesture unfolding with the patience of millennia. As Yakov approached, he felt no fear, only a deep sense of reverence for these ancient creatures. The nearest giant, noticing Yakov's approach, turned to face him. Its face was weathered and lined, like the face of a cliff that had withstood countless storms. Yet its eyes, deep, set and gleaming like polished agates, held a warmth and wisdom that immediately set Yakov at ease. "Welcome, small one," the giant rumbled, its voice like the sound of distant thunder, yet somehow gentle. "It has been many ages since we last saw a human in these parts." Yakov bowed deeply, honoring the ancient being before him. "I am honored to meet you," he said, his voice steady and respectful. "I am Yakov from the village of Whisperwood, on a quest to find the Firebird." The giant's eyes seemed to twinkle at this, and a smile as slow and majestic as a mountain's formation spread across its face. "Ah, the Firebird," it mused. Yakov considered the question carefully before answering. "I seek wisdom," he said finally. "The wisdom to bring true prosperity to my village, not just of the body, but of the spirit." The giant nodded approvingly, the motion like the shifting of tectonic plates. "A wise answer," it rumbled. "Come join us. Perhaps we can share some of the wisdom we have gathered over the eons." And so, Yakov found himself welcomed into the midst of the stone giants. They moved with incredible slowness, each step measured and deliberate. Yakov soon found himself adopting their unhurried pace, feeling a deep sense of peace settle over him as he did so. As the day progressed, Yakov learned from the giants. They taught him about patience, showing him how to listen to the whispers of the earth and the songs of the stars. They showed him how to find stillness within himself, even in the midst of motion. One of the younger giants, though still ancient by human standards, taught Yakov a form of meditation. "Close your eyes," the giant instructed, its voice a low, soothing rumble. "Feel the earth beneath your feet. Imagine roots growing from your soles, delving deep into the ground. Feel the stability, the timelessness of the earth." Yakov followed the instructions, feeling a profound connection to the world around him. As he stood there, eyes closed and imagining roots growing from his feet, he felt as steady and unmovable as the giants themselves. As evening approached, the giants invited Yakov to stay the night among them. They gathered in a circle, their massive forms creating a natural shelter from the wind that had begun to pick up. In the center of the circle, they placed a large, smooth stone that radiated a gentle warmth. Yakov laid out his blanket near this warm stone, feeling safe and protected in the presence of these gentle beings. As he prepared for sleep, the giants began to hum. The sound was low and resonant, more felt than heard. It vibrated through the earth and the air, a lullaby as old as the mountains themselves. As Yakov drifted off to sleep, lulled by the giants' humming and warmed by the stone at his side, he reflected on the day's lessons. He had learned about patience, about finding stillness and strength within himself. He realized that these were all qualities of the Firebird he sought, qualities that he was gradually awakening within himself. The night passed peacefully, the giants standing watch like sentinels of stone. Yakov slept deeply, his dreams filled with images of mountains that moved and stars that sang, and as he slept, the wisdom of the gentle giants seeped into his being, becoming a part of him just as the warmth of the hot spring had done the day before. In the quiet of the night, surrounded by these ancient kind beings, Yakov's quest continued to unfold, not just as an outward journey, but as an inward one, a journey of self-discovery and growth. And so he slept, safe and at peace, ready for whatever the next day might bring. As the first light of dawn painted the sky in soft hues of pink and gold, Yakov stirred from his deep slumber. The gentle giants stood around him, their massive forms silhouetted against the brightening sky. They looked down at him with eyes that held the wisdom of ages, their stone faces etched with kind smiles. "It is time for you to continue your journey, young Yakov," the eldest giant rumbled softly. "But know that the lessons you have learned here will always be a part of you." Yakov nodded, feeling a profound sense of gratitude wash over him. He gathered his belongings with deliberate care, each movement a meditation in itself, just as the giants had taught him. With a final deep bow to his enormous friends, Yakov set off once more, his heart full and his spirit calm. The path led Yakov down from the foothills, winding its way through a landscape that gradually transformed. The rocky terrain gave way to softer ground, and soon Yakov found himself entering a lush, green valley. Tall grass swayed gently in the breeze, and wildflowers dotted the landscape with splashes of color. As Yakov ventured deeper into the valley, he began to notice something peculiar about this place. Every sound seemed to linger in the air, from the soft crunch of his footsteps to the gentle rustle of leaves. Each noise created a soft, melodious echo that seemed to dance around him before fading away. Intrigued, Yakov paused and spoke softly. His word came back to him, not as a simple repetition, but as if carried on a warm breeze. "Hello. Journey well. Find peace." The echo seemed to bring with it fragments of wisdom, as if the valley itself was responding to him. Yakov's eyes widened in wonder. He realized he had entered a magical place, the Valley of Echoes. With each step, he began to hear more. The echoes were not just reflections of his own sounds, but whispers of those who had traveled this path before him. "Seek within," came a gentle whisper on the breeze. "The light you seek." Yakov walked on, his pace unhurried, allowing the echoes to wash over him. He heard snippets of ancient songs, fragments of wise advice, and words of encouragement from unseen travelers of the past. Each echo seemed to resonate with something deep inside him. As the day wore on, Yakov found a peaceful spot by a babbling brook to rest. He sat on a moss-covered rock, the soft echoes of the water creating a soothing melody around him. Here, he took time to reflect on his journey so far. He thought of the whispering forest and its ancient wisdom, of the misty meadows and the renewal he had found there. He recalled the lessons of patience and inner strength he had learned from the gentle giants. And now, in this valley of echoes, he felt as if all these experiences were coming together, creating a harmony of understanding within him. As he sat in quiet contemplation, Yakov began to realize that the Firebird he sought was not just a creature of legend, but a symbol of the inner light and wisdom that resided within all beings. The echoes of the valley seemed to confirm this, whispering, "The Firebird's flame." With this understanding came a profound sense of peace. Yakov felt as if he was becoming more attuned to the world around him, more aware of the interconnectedness of all things. The quest for the Firebird was transforming him in ways he had never anticipated. As evening approached, the echoes in the valley began to soften, becoming a gentle lullaby. Yakov prepared for sleep, laying out his blanket in a soft bed of grass. The echoes continued to whisper around him, soothing and comforting. "Rest now, seeker. Tomorrow brings new wisdom." Yakov closed his eyes, feeling deeply at peace. The echoes of the valley merged with his own thoughts, creating a symphony of tranquility that lulled him towards sleep. He drifted off with a smile on his face, knowing that each day of his journey was bringing him closer, not just to the Firebird, but to a deeper understanding of himself and the world. And so, cradled in the gentle embrace of the Valley of Echoes, Yakov slept. The soft whispers of ancient wisdom continued through the night, weaving themselves into his dreams. In his slumber, Yakov saw visions of a radiant bird, its feathers glowing with an inner light that seemed to mirror the growing warmth in his own heart. As the night deepened, the valley kept its vigil, its echoes a constant, soothing presence, and Yakov slept on, his spirit growing ever stronger, ever more attuned to the magic and wisdom that surrounded him. In the quiet of the night, under a canopy of twinkling stars, the kind-hearted warrior continued his transformation, guided by the gentle echoes of those who had walked the path before him. As dawn broke over the Valley of Echoes, Yakov awoke to the soft whispers of the morning breeze. The echoes seemed to bid him farewell, their voices a gentle encouragement as he prepared to continue his journey. With a heart full of gratitude, Yakov gathered his belongings and set forth, feeling more centered and purposeful than ever before. The path led Yakov out of the valley and towards a range of low, rolling hills. As he approached, he noticed the entrance to a vast cave system, its mouth yawning wide and inviting. Something about the cave called to him, a soft pull that seemed to resonate with the growing wisdom within his heart. Taking a deep breath, Yakov stepped into the cave. As his eyes adjusted to the dimness, he gasped in wonder. The cavern walls were studded with crystals that emitted a soft, pulsating light. It was as if he had stepped into a world of earthbound stars. Each crystal, a tiny sun, illuminating the underground realm. Yakov moved deeper into the cave system, his footsteps echoing softly off the crystalline walls. The air was cool and fresh, carrying a faint, earthy scent that was somehow comforting. As he ventured further, the caverns opened up into a vast underground chamber that took his breath away. The ceiling of the chamber soared high above, lost in shadows. But what caught Yakov's attention were the thousands upon thousands of glowing crystals that covered every surface. They pulsed with a gentle, rhythmic light that seemed to match the beating of his own heart. The overall effect was that of being surrounded by a galaxy of stars, each one twinkling with its own inner radiance. In the center of the chamber stood a smooth, flat stone that seemed to invite rest and contemplation. Yakov made his way towards it, feeling drawn by an unseen force. As he sat upon the stone, he felt a deep sense of peace settle over him. The pulsing light of the crystals seemed to intensify, creating a soothing rhythm that lulled Yakov into a state of deep meditation. As he closed his eyes and focused on his breath, he felt as if he was floating among the stars themselves, suspended in a sea of gentle light. In this state of profound tranquility, Yakov began to see visions. He saw the whispering forest, its ancient trees swaying in a cosmic wind. He saw the misty meadows, their golden grasses rippling like waves on an ethereal ocean. He saw the gentle giants, their stone bodies now constellations in the night sky. And he saw the Valley of Echoes, its whispers now the music of the spheres. As these visions flowed through him, Yakov began to understand the true nature of his quest. The Firebird was not just a creature to be found, but a state of being to be achieved. It represented the inner light that resided within all things, the wisdom and compassion that connected all beings. With this realization came a profound sense of unity. Yakov felt connected to everything: the earth beneath him, the air around him, the stars above him, and every living creature that shared this vast, beautiful world. He understood that the prosperity he sought for his village was not something external, but a shift in perspective, a realization of the abundance that already existed all around them. As Yakov sat in this state of blissful understanding, he lost all sense of time. The pulsing of the crystals merged with the beating of his heart, and he felt as if he had become one with the cavern itself. Hours might have passed, or perhaps days, in this timeless space. Such measurements held no meaning. Eventually, slowly, gently, Yakov began to return to normal consciousness. As he opened his eyes, he noticed that the light from the crystals had changed. Feeling both deeply rested and profoundly transformed, Yakov knew it was time to prepare for sleep. He laid out his blanket near the central stone, the crystal light casting a soft, starry glow over his resting place. As he settled in for the night, Yakov reflected on his journey so far. Each step had brought him closer not just to the Firebird, but to a deeper understanding of himself and the world around him. He felt a sense of anticipation for what the next day might bring, but also a deep contentment with where he was in this moment. The pulsing light of the crystals gradually softened, creating a soothing lullaby of light that gently guided Yakov towards sleep. As he drifted off, he felt as if he was floating among the stars, cradled in the very heart of the universe. And so, in the depths of the starlit caverns, surrounded by the gentle glow of countless crystalline stars, Yakov slept. His dreams were filled with visions of radiant light and cosmic harmony, each image a reflection of the growing wisdom and inner peace he had cultivated on his journey. As he slumbered, the caverns kept their quiet vigil, their soft light a constant reminder of the inner radiance that Yakov had discovered within himself. As the soft glow of the crystal caverns began to intensify, mimicking the dawn of a new day, Yakov stirred from his profound slumber. He felt refreshed and renewed, as if he had slept among the stars themselves. With a deep sense of peace and purpose, he gathered his belongings and prepared to leave the starlit caverns. As Yakov emerged from the cave system, he found himself in a landscape that seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly light. The air was crisp and clear, filled with a subtle energy that made his skin tingle. Before him stretched a path that wound its way up a gentle slope, leading to what appeared to be a glowing glade in the distance. With each step, Yakov felt a growing sense of anticipation. The wisdom he had gathered on his journey settled within him like a warm ember glowing brightly as he approached what he somehow knew was his final destination. The path beneath his feet seemed to pulse with a soft golden light, guiding him forward. As Yakov crested the hill, he gasped in wonder at the sight before him. The glade was a vision of ethereal beauty, bathed in a warm golden light that seemed to emanate from the very air itself. Flowers of impossible colors swayed gently in a breeze he couldn't feel, their petals shimmering like living gems. In the center of the glade stood an ancient tree, its trunk twisted and gnarled with age, yet vibrant with life. Its leaves were a tapestry of gold and crimson, eternally caught in the beauty of autumn. And there, perched upon a branch, was the creature Yakov had sought throughout his journey, the Firebird. The Firebird was more magnificent than Yakov could have ever imagined. Its feathers glowed with an inner fire, shifting through hues of gold, orange, and deep crimson. Its eyes, deep and wise, seemed to hold the knowledge of ages within them. As Yakov approached, the Firebird regarded him with a gaze that was both piercing and gentle. Yakov stood before the tree, his heart full of reverence and awe. He bowed deeply, honoring the magical creature before him. When he straightened, he found the Firebird's eyes still upon him, filled with warmth and understanding. Then, to Yakov's amazement, the Firebird spoke. Its voice was like the crackling of a warm hearth, comforting and full of wisdom. "Welcome, Yakov of Whisperwood," it said. "You have journeyed far, both in body and spirit, to reach this place." Yakov nodded, feeling a deep sense of rightness in this moment. "I have come seeking wisdom," he said, his voice steady and clear. Wisdom to bring true prosperity to my village. The Firebird's eyes seemed to twinkle with approval and tell me, "Kind warrior, what have you learned on your journey?" Yakov took a moment to reflect, feeling the weight of his experiences settle around him like a warm cloak. "I have learned that true prosperity comes not from what we possess, but from what we understand," he began. "It comes from our connection to the world around us, to each other, and to the wisdom that resides within our own hearts." He continued, his voice growing stronger with each word. "I have learned that the Firebird's flame burns within all of us. It is the light of compassion, of understanding, of the interconnectedness of all things. True prosperity is recognizing this light and nurturing it in ourselves and in others." The Firebird nodded, its feathers shimmering with approval. "You have learned well, Yakov," it said. "The wisdom you seek is not something I can give you, for you have already found it within yourself. Your journey has awakened the Firebird's flame in your own heart." As the Firebird spoke these words, Yakov felt a warmth blooming in his chest. He looked down to see a soft, golden light emanating from within him, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. He understood then that he had carried the Firebird's wisdom within him all along. His journey had simply helped him to recognize and nurture it. The Firebird spread its magnificent wings, showering the glade with sparks of golden light. "Go now, Yakov," it said, its voice filled with warmth and encouragement. "Return to your village and share what you have learned. Help others to recognize the light within themselves. That is the true path to prosperity." Yakov bowed once more, his heart full of gratitude and understanding. As he straightened, he saw the Firebird begin to glow more intensely. Its form seemed to shimmer and dissolve into countless points of light that swirled around him, each spark carrying a fragment of wisdom and warmth. The lights danced around Yakov, some settling on his skin like gentle kisses before fading away, others swirling into his heart where they joined the warm glow that had taken root there. He felt filled with light, with understanding, with a deep and abiding peace. As the last of the lights faded, Yakov found himself alone in the glade. Yet he didn't feel alone at all. He could feel the presence of the Firebird within him, its wisdom and warmth a part of him now. He knew that this presence would stay with him always, guiding him and helping him to guide others. With a heart full of joy and purpose, Yakov turned to begin his journey home. As he left the glade, he felt not like he was leaving the Firebird behind, but carrying its essence with him. The path ahead seemed to glow with a soft, golden light, guiding him back towards Whisperwood and the new chapter of his life that awaited him there. And so, filled with the light and wisdom of the Firebird, Yakov set forth on his homeward journey, ready to share the true prosperity he had discovered with his village and all those he would meet along the way. As Yakov began his journey back to Whisperwood, he felt a profound sense of transformation. The warm glow of the Firebird's wisdom pulsed gently within his chest, a constant reminder of the inner light he now carried. The path before him seemed to shimmer with a soft, golden radiance, as if illuminated by his newfound understanding. With each step, Yakov reflected on the incredible journey that had brought him to this moment. He remembered the whispering forest with its ancient, murmuring trees, the misty meadows and their healing springs, the gentle giants who taught him patience and inner strength, the valley of echoes with its whispers of wisdom, all things. As he traveled, Yakov noticed that the world around him seemed different, more vibrant and alive. Colors appeared richer, sounds more melodious, and every breath of air felt like a gentle caress against his skin. He realized that this change was not in the world itself, but in his perception of it, a gift of the Firebird's wisdom. The journey home was not rushed. Yakov moved at a steady, mindful pace, savoring each moment and each new discovery. He found himself pausing often to appreciate the beauty around him. A dewdrop clinging to a leaf, the intricate pattern of bark on a tree, the delicate dance of butterflies in a sunlit glade. As he walked, Yakov began to encounter other travelers on the road. Where once he might have passed them with a polite nod, he now found himself engaging in warm conversations. He shared the simple wisdom he had gained, not through grand pronouncements, but through kind words, attentive listening, and small acts of compassion. To a weary merchant, he offered not just a share of his provisions, but also words of encouragement that seemed to lighten the man's burden. To a young couple arguing by the roadside, he shared a gentle story about the importance of patience and understanding, helping them see each other in a new light. With each interaction, Yakov felt the warmth in his chest grow, spreading outward like ripples on a pond. As he neared Whisperwood, Yakov began to see familiar landmarks. The eternal autumn that blessed his home village painted the landscape in warm hues of gold and crimson. Finally, as the sun began to set on his last day of travel, Yakov crested the hill that overlooked Whisperwood. The village lay before him, bathed in the warm glow of evening light. Smoke rose gently from chimneys, and he could hear the distant laughter of children playing in the square. As Yakov entered the village, he was greeted with gasps of surprise and cries of joy. Word of his return spread quickly, and soon the entire village had gathered to welcome him home. Yakov embraced his friends and neighbors, his heart full of love for this community that had sent him on his quest. In the days that followed, Yakov shared the wisdom he had gained on his journey. He spoke not of a magical bird that would solve all their problems, but of the inner light that resided within each of them. He taught them about the interconnectedness of all things, the importance of patience and mindfulness, and the true meaning of prosperity. Slowly but surely, the village began to change. People moved with more purpose, treated each other with greater kindness, and found joy in the simple beauties of life. They learned to listen to the whispers of the forest, to find renewal in the mist-covered meadows, to embody the patience of mountains, and to hear the echoes of wisdom in the wind. The eternal autumn of Whisperwood seemed more vibrant than ever, not because it had changed, but because the villagers had learned to truly see and appreciate its beauty. They found that true prosperity didn't come from acquiring more, but from deepening their understanding and connection to the world around them. Yakov, for his part, continued to be a gentle guide for his community. He didn't set himself above others or claim special powers. Instead, he worked alongside his neighbors, always ready with a kind word, a helping hand, or a moment of quiet wisdom. The warmth in his chest, the gift of the Firebird, seemed to grow with each passing day, touching the lives of all those around him. And so, Whisperwood flourished, not with material wealth, but with a richness of spirit that brought true contentment. The village became known far and wide as a place of wisdom and peace, drawing seekers from distant lands who hoped to learn the secret of their prosperity. As for Yakov, he often stood at the edge of the village, in the quiet of the evening, looking out at the path that had led him on his great journey. In these moments, he would feel the warmth of the Firebird pulse strongly within him, and he would smile, knowing that the greatest adventure was not the one he had taken, but the one he lived every day, the journey of sharing wisdom within themselves. And so, under the eternal autumn sky, Whisperwood continued to thrive, a testament to the transformative power of inner wisdom and the enduring flame of the Firebird that burned brightly in the heart of every villager. Guided by the gentle hand of Yakov, the kind-hearted warrior who had learned the true meaning of prosperity. Thank you for allowing Fireside Fables to be a part of your journey tonight. We hope our story has gently guided you to the gates of dreamland, wrapping you in the comfort of tales told by the fireside's warm glow. For those of you who might still be seeking the embrace of sleep, stay with us a little longer. A calm, meditative peace will follow shortly, designed to ease you into a restful slumber under the watchful care of the night's peaceful embrace. Remember, the path to dreamland is always here, lit by the soft light of our fireside tales. May you find tranquility, peace, and the sweetest of dreams. Close your eyes and settle into a comfortable position. Whether you're lying down or seated, allow your body to relax completely. Take a deep breath in, filling your lungs with air, and then gently exhale, releasing all the tension from your body. This meditation will guide you into a deep, restful sleep. As you follow along, let my words be the gentle waves that guide you into the peaceful embrace of slumber. Begin by focusing on your breath. Feel the natural rhythm of your inhale and exhale. With every breath, imagine a wave of relaxation sweeping over your body. Starting from the top of your head, let this wave of calm flow down to your toes, relaxing each part of your body one by one. Now, bring your attention to your mind. Visualize your thoughts like leaves floating on a gentle stream, drifting further away with each breath. There's nothing for you to do right now, nowhere you need to be, except right here in this moment of peace. As your body sinks deeper into relaxation, imagine a soft, warm light enveloping you. This light brings with it a deep sense of calm, filling every corner of your being. With each breath, this light grows brighter, your body feeling lighter. It's now time to let go completely. Your serene place is here to cradle you into deep sleep. With every breath, feel yourself drifting further into this haven of peace. You are safe, you are loved, and you are embraced by the gentle arms of sleep. As my voice fades away, let the calmness and peace you feel guide you into a deep, restful sleep. Your body knows what it needs, and it's time to surrender to the soothing rhythm of your breath, to the quiet of your mind, and to the warmth of your peaceful